Oh, hello everybody. This is a scene that anybody who's been to been to Athona Bradford knows well. We've got the quad, we've got the lovely grapevine, and we've got our solar panels and our solar thermal water heaters, and the wind turbine. And we were always very proud that we were an off-grid community generating our own electricity, and we did, and that's true. But we did that by having a very small electricity supply, by making sure that any water heating at all, even a kettle, was done on gas, by doing all of our cooking on gas, and actually using gas for quite a lot of the electricity generation. And so that's why we decided that we needed to do something different. In these days when climate change is becoming increasingly obvious, and obvious as a major problem, getting rid of fossil fuels or reducing them as far as we can was very important to us. So we need to, first of all, increase our electricity generation. So over here you'll see half of the new solar panels. So there's a big bank of solar panels on this side facing east, and another bank on the other side of the motley accommodation the same size facing west. So we get solar power in the morning, during the day, and in the evening. And that's a massive increase in our solar power generation. We're also in the process of applying for planning permission for a wind turbine that's about 5 or 6 times bigger than the existing one. So in the summer we can run largely off solar, in the winter we'll run largely off wind. Let me show you where all that power, that electrical power, goes. So all that lovely electrical energy from the solar panels and the wind turbine comes into these 3 blue inverters. The old system was a single phase system. We've gone over to a commercial 3-phase system. It allows us to run the dishwashers on 3 phase as they were designed to do. It allows us to have 3-phase cooking equipment, and it's just a more efficient system. These big black ones are 6 big lithium batteries. They're a battery of cells, all of them. It can be charged independently, and they're computer controlled, so an individual cell can be charged. The main overall controlling inverter is here, and then we have the old solar panels are still here. We still get our feed-in tariff for the old solar panels. And we've still got the same inverters for the old Windy Boy inverters for the old wind turbine. And the new wind turbine will have a big inverter here. And it's can you zoom in on this? This shows us, at the moment we're producing a 17 kilowatts of power, and we're consuming about 5.5, and so the battery is charging at the moment. We're on 81%.
What happens when the batteries are full? Where does the excess energy go?
When the batteries are full, we can use some of the excess energy on immersion heaters to help with the hot water. If that is still too much, then the system will intelligently cut out various power supplies to balance the system. Let me show you our monitoring system. So here we are out next to the pool table, and we put this panel up so when you come to Athona you can see how we're doing, and we've got a visual display all the time. This blue line shows us the state of charge of our batteries. This is over the last 2 days. So on Friday we see we're 100% battery. It slipped down overnight, and then the solar panels boosted it back up to 100%, slipped down again overnight, and at the moment it's a nice sunny day, we're boosting it back up. The yellow lines are our production. So you can see that during the day we produce a lot from those solar panels and a little bit from the wind turbine. Overnight we produce a tiny bit from the wind turbine. It tends not to be too windy overnight here. Very little at all produced last night, which is why we need more wind production, because the only thing that produces when it's dark is the wind. The red lines are the consumption. It's very high here because we're using the immersion heater when we've got lots of power. And we'll use the immersion heater again here when we've got lots of power. This is our sort of base load overnight, and this was when we were cooking dinner as well as the immersion heater. A little bit for cooking breakfast, cooking dinner on Friday night as well.
But of course now the kitchens are all electric, aren't they?
Yeah, because all of our kitchen equipment is now electric. This will be, in the fullness of time, there'll be a link from our website onto this, so where you can, if you're sat at home, you can see, oh, how's it going at a Bradwell on energy? You can click into this and see how it's going. So the wind turbine's spinning merrily and the sun's shining and we're producing lots of electricity, but of course there are times in the winter when the days are very short, it's very, very cloudy and there's no wind. And so what we can't have is the place packing up in those times. Or if there's a problem, we need a reliable power supply. So we have this little beauty here, which is a backup generator. This is big enough to power the entire site and charge the batteries at the same time. It only comes on at the moment very, very infrequently, but until we get the new wind turbine through the winter, sadly we will have to use this much more than we would want to. It runs on red diesel, it's quite an efficient engine. The red diesel tank seems to hardly move down at the moment, which is really nice. But it does mean that if we have a group in and we have a problem, we don't have to worry that the whole power is going down as it has happened in the past. Well, here's the really good news. This used to be the site of 2 large LPG tanks, and there was another one specifically for the solar building as well. They're all gone. There's no LPG on site anymore. When I look after the books here, and I was always hoping, I was always disappointed when I saw the van coming down to fill it up, which it came down much, much too often, because I knew that was a big chunk out of my cash flow from the following month. I used to wait till the end of the month and think, oh, I hope they don't deliver before the end of the month, because that would delay the payment. A lot of money was spent on LPG. It produced a lot of CO2, and we've had a major reduction in the amount of CO2 we generate as a site. To replace that, and we've replaced it with wood pellets and a biomass boiler, and this is where wood pellets get delivered. So they're blown in from a tanker through this pipe, and this pipe is used to suck air out of the store so that we don't explode the storm effectively, so to maintain the pressure. So they come down, they're produced in a plant in Scotland, right up on the Forth of Cromarty. It's a sawmill, and all of the waste that can't be made into anything useful, or useful in timber terms, is pulped up into a cake. I'll show you them in a minute. And then they ship it down by ship from there down to Manningtree, which is very close to here, and then a tanker brings it that last moment. It's all from sustainable forestry, big conifer plantations in Scotland, and the site where it's produced is a fossil fuel free site. Let me show you what the pellets look like. So you can see the door's been blocked up at the store, and this is the store itself. Let me show you these pellets. Those of you perhaps who keep rabbits or livestock might recognise these, because the process made to make them is very similar. This is 100% softwood, squeezed up into a nice pellet that the boiler can use. I don't know whether you'll be able to see in our store, but it's been hopperised, and it will hold about 5 or 6 tonne of wood pellets, which will last us, well, in the summer a very long time, in the winter perhaps 6 or 8 weeks. So the auger sends the material on through the floor into this room, which houses our new boiler. Come in and have a look. Down here you'll see the end of the auger, and then there's a little impeller which blows it up into the feed hopper here, and again we have to have one that takes the air back out of the feed hopper. So this is filled up periodically, and then that directly feeds into our boiler, which is just a big grey box.
And it's fully automated.
Fully automated. We don't have to. Once a week we come in and check it. There's you can see the boiler temperature is 85. but it's not actually outputting at the moment because the tank is full. We've used 6.4 cubic meters of fuel since April the 4th, which is we had 8.8 when we filled up the fuel store. So this is it. It's quite expensive but not very exciting to look at, but it is very exciting what it does, and it will send hot water from here through these pipes at the back to our tank room, which I'm showing you next. One of the reasons wood chip is useful to us, not only is it very environmentally friendly, but it also attracts the government's renewable heat incentive, which cuts down the amount we effectively pay for our fuel quite substantially, although not quite as much as it did in Northern Ireland, sadly. So all that heat that the boiler is producing comes into our tank room here. Have a look at this tank.
Whoa, that's huge.
That is some tank. This is a tank that holds 3,000 litres, so that's 3 tonne of water. The tank itself weighs about roughly half a tonne, just over half a tonne, which was good fun trying to manhandle it into here, as I can attest personally. So the hot water from the boiler comes into here. We can also heat it with an immersion heater, and our solar thermal tubes also provide water into here. This is a massive great heat store, so the boiler just runs occasionally to keep it topped up. And then that water is fed through heat exchangers here to feed the hot water for your showers, etc., and for the underfloor heating for space heating.
So is it that the water that's in that tank is not the actual water that comes out of the shower head?
No.
Okay.
This water just circulates through the heat exchangers and exchange heat with the water that comes through the shower.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of kit in here, a lot of control systems, a lot of pipe work. It's a very, very exciting room, I think.
This is the old cleaner store.
Well, with all this complicated equipment and such like, we've got to protect it from the hard water of Essex. We've got to protect it from limescale. So here we keep our water softener and also our header tank, which is pumped, so that there's constant water pressure and hot water is pumped around continually. So you hit a hot tap and out comes hot water. So you can see the tank there. The pump is sitting underneath it. And round to your left is the water softener. And the water softener works off just pure salt. This is food grade salt. You could put that on you could crush that up and put it on your chips if you wanted to. Well, here we are in Athona's new kitchen. Many of you will remember the old and very old and needing replacing gas ranges we had here. You'll remember over here we had a big gas hot water boiler. You remember the whistling kettles that ran on gas? Well, gas has gone. We've got a fantastic Rationale self-cooking centre which controls not just the temperature when you're cooking but also the humidity as well. Stefano's just making some lentil roasts in there for our vegetarian friends. We've got 8 induction hobs. These are very, very efficient. They are almost as controllable as gas, and when you finish, there's no heat there, so very, very safe. There's a little bit of heat reflected off your pan when you immediately take them off, but there's very little waste heat. This kitchen used to be horrible in the summer, but now we haven't even had the back door open because there's just so much little waste heat. The dishwashers are the same as you knew, except that we no longer have to worry about whether one's on and one's off, and we've converted them back to 3-phase so they work more efficiently. So that's about all I can show you in the kitchen, I think.